Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to this week's segment of Live Without Limits. Today's show is titled, This Habit Will Put You in the Top 3% of Earners. And why are we talking about this today? Because anytime you start a business, you strive to be the best. And to be the best, you need to understand what are the best ways to grow a business that is going to be successful. The important thing is not being afraid to take a chance. Remember, the greatest failure is to not try. Once you find something you love to do, be the best at doing it, said Debbie Fields. The one thing all ambitious individuals need to know when it comes to creating success over a lifetime is that the commitment to lifelong learning cannot be bypassed. That is, because technology influences business today, you need to be aware that there's always new ways of marketing a business, there's new ways of growing a business, there's new ways of networking your business to build it successfully. After years of investing in myself, researching and working with highly successful people who are earning a lot of money and making an impact in our world, I can boldly state that there is a singular habit that we all develop and practice on a consistent basis to help us reach the ranks of the top earners in the world. The best way to learn in your niche is to find the people who are most successful in your field. Even if they've left the business, as long as they've been there recently, like say within the last 5 years, then they can give you some pointers on what it takes to be successful. That single habit is continuous, dedicated reading. Yes, the simple act of daily focused reading will not only make you an expert in your field, it can also quantum leap your results financially. Increasing the amount of time you put into reading is one of the most effective ways to expand personally and professionally. It is now becoming the prerequisite to being great at anything, whether you're in the corporate world or deep in the entrepreneurial jungle. But don't do or take it my word for it. Here's what one of the leading experts in the personal success thinks about the very idea. And remember, one of the things you need to consider is that in any business, continual learning and reading about your business. It doesn't mean that you read anything, but you can even immerse yourself today in videos. Why? Because videos are another learning tool that are put out there by the people who know your field best. If you read only one book per month, that will put you into the top 3% of income earners in our society in less than 5 years, said Brian Tracy. 1 in 4 adults haven't read a book in the last year. I decided long ago that watching television was not a worthy investment for me. I had big dreams and goals that needed to be reached. Spending time watching other people live their lives was far from enticing for me. As my life moved from success to success, and I started hanging out with other big players, I soon realized that developing the habit of continued education played a major role in securing my success, which is why every time I start working with a client, there's always an emphasis on developing the habit of daily, consistent reading. I quickly realized very few adults actively read. In fact, research tells us that at the age of 8, the time that goes into reading anything new starts declining. So half of the adult population is basically illiterate, according to data. 1 out of 4 adults haven't read a book in the last year. If you go back to the wisdom shared by Brian Tracy, it becomes easy to see why the same elite group of people enjoys approximately 96% of our global wealth. It isn't that the majority of the population are less fascinated or fortunate. It's that most people have a hard time disciplining their minds to develop good habits. What happens is, as we get older, if you remember, with the introduction of MTV, the maximum time that you have is really 30 seconds to 3 minutes to hook someone and hold their attention. And what happens is, and this because you have the MTV generation and technology, you find that the kids today just don't read like their parents did. They don't go to the library as much. Everything is done on an ebook or a video. And they're really great if you understand what you're doing. But there's many different ways that you can educate yourself. It is inexplicably easier to sit on a couch and get entertained by whatever drama the media would have cooked up on television. But how is that assisting you with tapping into the storehouse of potential power, the intelligence and wealth lying dominant in your mind? Today, you have reality TV. And what's on reality TV? The Kardashians. And I'm sorry, but how did the Kardashians first make a name for themselves? By putting out a sex tape. And Ryan Seacrest has become a producer, and he learned from Dick Clark how to build an empire. But his whole empire is reality TV. He started out as an intern on the radio in Atlanta, Georgia. And then when he went to California, he hooked up with Dick Clark. And Dick Clark taught him how to build an empire. But Dick Clark built it on good shows. In fact, his were game shows. And Ryan Seacrest has built his on reality TV. And yes, reality TV came about because of the writer's strike. But when you look at the kinds of shows that are on TV today, they're not innovative programming. You really, if you want to do that, have to go to the internet. Why? Because you can get better programming because the professionals are willing to do their own shows and put their own advertising into their programming. How reading prepares you for the future, aside from the fact that your brain power, memory function, and mental sharpness will improve dramatically through this habit. Think about the fact that our digital age has set into motion a way of life where things rapidly change. Business systems, new laws, new discoveries, new opportunities are now taking less than a fraction of a time they used to take to come to fruition. This means that regardless of your expertise, whatever you learned when you first got your degree is probably going to become outdated if it hasn't already. Gone are the days when getting a degree or finishing school made you rich and cool. The only way to get rich and cool in our modern society is to remain hungry and foolish, as the wise Steve Jobs once said. And Steve Jobs is another example of someone who actually did not finish school, but because he was an innovator, an idea man, and he knew what people would want. Think about it. Before the iPhone, did you ever think that you would ever carry your phone in your pocket or be willing to pay to carry your mini computer in your pocket? Because the smartphone has become the way business is done today. With every new introduction of a phone, you're seeing more and more advanced products and protection. That means carving out time each day to feed your brain and mind with some food for your personal and professional growth. Your ability to focus and sustain a high performance level, especially if you're a high performer, will be enhanced through the developing of this single habit. Now that we are in the era of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, being self-disciplined and maintaining high performance levels becomes crucial. As if that wasn't enough of an incentive to get you to see just how valuable the habit is, let me share with you a few simple and highly effective ways to developing it. After all, the number one obstacle many of us face today is execution, implementation of the things we are told are essential for success. The 5-step process of developing the habit of reading. One thing I do know is when you read, and you can go on Google News, you can go on Yahoo News, and you can always find a lot of things to read. Now, what's happened is because of technology, we have 24-hour news. We are in the information age. And what has this done to business? This means that there's just so many ways that you can get your reading material today. And there's so many different ways to do it, so that you can do it through an ebook, you can do it through a newsletter, you can do it through a physical book. but you want to read something that pertains to your business and helps you understand what you need to do to build and grow your business today. Think of all of the opportunities you can have in growing a business and expanding it. If you understand technology, if you're willing to open your mind to accepting the fact that reading gives you the opportunity to keep abreast of what's going on in the world today, of how you can grow and build and expand in your new opportunities. Step 1, cut down on the activity you're doing on a daily basis that is not income-producing activities. It could be that usual chat you have for half an hour with a friend or neighbor that consists of nothing more than sophisticated nonsense, politics, and how crazy the world is becoming. Most importantly, cut down your social media, YouTube watching, web browsing addiction. Yes, we live in a world where more time is spent in virtual reality than in the three-dimensional world. And think about it. Today, even your smartphones are products that you can use to play games, to get into virtual reality. Begin to note down all the wonderful topics you enjoy reading or have always wanted to learn more about. And what I want to do is break away here. For years, I used to read romance novels. And really, the romance novels that I read came more from the Victorian era. And in a way, that was my way of learning history, or watching shows that dealt with historical era times. Just because, for me, just reading it doesn't always help me. One thing I would always do, and what made me remember things, was rereading a book 2 or 3 times. And mostly that's because, for me, what goes into short-term memory doesn't always go into long-term memory. So I have to look at it as what are the multiple ways that I could take things in and read them and keep abreast of what's going on. So I suggest coming up with a list of 2 to 4 categories. The 2 main categories here must be business work, career-related, depending on your current position. Personal development, which is a very broad industry ranging from motivation to spiritual growth and everything in between. Start with where you feel most drawn and excited by, and then expand out. But today, because we are in an era where more and more people are working from home as entrepreneurs or working from home as independent contractors for a company, then understanding what's going on, reading about the trends on what is going on in business will only help you expand and build. And personal development is, even though it's a broad area, we really need to understand that there are roadblocks that we put on ourselves or limitations because of our beliefs in our abilities. So you've got a lot of self-help books out there that have been out there for years, but they have been proven to help people overcome their limiting beliefs. and also learning how to use the laws of attraction and thinking positively, and also changing your affirmations. Create a calendar or reminder on your smartphone for the daily read. Frankly, even 15 minutes in the morning and evening would be better than nothing. Block off the time specifically on a daily, consistent basis so that you can recondition your mind through the repetition into the habit. Stick to it. I am ever encouraging any student and fellow coaches to do this each time they sit to learn the best way to ensure your mind remains engaged and actually grasp what you need to get into the reading mode with the intention of understanding the topic to the point where you can do it and even teach it with simplicity to another human being. This is the best accomplished through the process of note-taking, whether it's jotting down little side notes within the book or in your journal. You just need to be sure to take as many notes as possible during that study time. Hundreds of ideas might come to you, as they often do when we read high-value books, whether it's in the form of questions, ideas to implement, teaching frameworks to adapt, or anything else. Each time you get into the reading mode, you will be giving yourself the chance to not only learn something new, but as well to open up new mental channels for solutions, business ideas, and creative projects to come through you. And here's something else that you might want to think about, and that is that your reading habits always influence who you are. And what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some reading material on business that can help you actually build the kind of think about. And today you can actually go online and learn about becoming an entrepreneur, because you know what? And there's actually websites that you can go on about reading and learning how to become an entrepreneur. Okay. One of the things that if you are an entrepreneur and you are looking to grow a business, there are books out there that you should read. So that can always help you. And here are some to think about. The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. It's a self-made millionaire. Mark Cuban tells Business Insider that this book is required reading for every entrepreneur. It's also a favorite of Charlie O'Donnell, a partner in the Brooklyn Bridge Ventures. Another book to think about is The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. And this is one of the 3 books that CEO Jeff Bezos and his senior managers read for a series of all-day book clubs. Drucker helped popularize the now commonplace ideas about management. For example, managers and employees should work toward a common set of goals. And why are these reading materials important for you to understand? Simple. That today, if you are not abreast of what's going on in the business world, of how social media plays a role in marketing, and how having an online business today, even if you have a brick and mortar store, is one of the things that are very important. Why? Because business is constantly changing. And we don't always think about or realize what is happening and how to use it, to incorporate it into our business world, our skills of growing a business and expanding it to being a successful. Because one of the things that people forget about is simple, that today you have to have and understand when you're starting out how to put together a website, how to utilize that website to market yourself through articles, through content, anything that's going to educate your followers on who you are and how to build your experience and your exposure to grow and expand all of the activities that you need to incorporate into your business today. We don't always think about it, but reading is a good way to expand on your experience. And how you can incorporate all of this into your business today. We don't always think about all the things that you need to do that can help you expand and grow at the level that you want to have your business. Okay. So remember, reading a business book today, or how that what we've been talking about is how to become one of the top 3 earners today. And looking at the opportunity that's created when a business expands. Now, what I'd like you to remind you, you can go to my website, and that website is the #1 personalcareercoach.com. And we can help you put together a strategy on building a successful business and taking it to the next level. We can also help you on finding reading material that will help you expand your business knowledge, and not only your business knowledge, but your experience and knowledge on building an online business in today's marketplace.